George talked about the winds of winter. The Night King originally looked like a wizard. An actor talked out about Blood Moon being cancelled, and Bran and Davos's actors defend the final season of Game of Thrones from you. Terrible, terrible people. Shame. First, and I'm so sorry I have to share this, but the author of the Witcher books recently talked about how he doesn't like the A Song of Ice and Fire books, and I just want to share the quote because he's a really cranky old dude, and I love how he attacks everyone. So this is what he said. I appreciate the work of George R.R. Martin. I like his series, but found his books to have too many protagonists. Once I asked him, "But why do you kill all those characters?" "Because I like it," he replied. I don't think the readers feel the same way. Seriously, this guy is so cranky. Go read a lot of his quotes. I love the Witcher books, absolutely love them, but cranky fuck. Okay, so let's move on to Davos's actor Liam and Bran's actor Isaac, both defending the final season of Game of Thrones because apparently the actors on that show are still doing that. They're just not letting it go. You're wrong, not them. Oh, but first, Isaac is actually pissed that he knew Bran was going to be king at the end of the series for a year and a half, but he didn't actually get to sit on the Iron Throne, and he only got to be king for 15 minutes of the whole damn series. Poor Isaac. Oh, and Isaac also reconfirmed that many, many years ago, George told D&D, yeah, Bran will be king by the end of the series. So, just in case you're still having wishful thinking that that's not going to happen, it is. But I'm still hoping it's because Bloodraven takes over his body. So it's not really Bran. Of course, it wasn't really Bran anyways, because he wasn't really himself anymore, but whatever, moving on. On Liam being asked if he liked the ending of Game of Thrones, which, by the way, he said Game of Thrones had the happiest ending it possibly could, and we should be happy about that. So really quick, here's what he said about it being a happy ending, or the happiest ending you could get on Game of Thrones. I think it was a good ending. People say it was short. The series was originally going to have 70 chapters, and thanks to David and Dan, they added 3 more, which is 6 more months of work than they had under the HBO contract. They went one step further. And people say, it was accelerated. Well, everything's accelerated. Davos has 7 children in the novels. Bran, as you said, is more magical. Lady Stark is resurrected. Lady Stoneheart. There are thousands of things that appear in the books. It's a pretty happy ending to something that had a genocide right before. He also said how Stark is in good shape. The Lannisters have all disappeared. I think he forgot about Tyrion. And good riddance to House Targaryen being gone, so yeah. Okay, so on whether Liam liked the ending of Game of Thrones, he also said, there are people who do not like it, but also people who do not like the end of The Sopranos. If you take something from people that they like very much, no matter what it is, they won't like it. And if you ask them, how could they have done that end better? And nobody knows. I disagree with you. I have actually seen quite a few people come out with how you could have ended the series better that wasn't fan service or wasn't overly too happy, but it actually made a lot of sense. So maybe you're just not asking the right people how they would have had it end better. Maybe, you know. Okay, and he also said, and about the end, there was nothing we could do to make everyone like the end. And if we did, people would complain. This is a series for adults. We are not children. Yeah, I think you're missing the point of why people are upset. It's not because the character they wanted didn't sit on the throne, or a character they wanted to live died. It's more the writing was super fucking shitty. But, you know, each their own. Everyone has their own opinion. Makes the world go round. And sometimes more terrible. By the way, he also said doing all of the books justice would be impossible, and that Isaac would be 75 years old by the time they finished shooting, so, you know. Anyways, Naomi Ackie also shared her feelings on Blood Moon being canceled, saying, this stuff happens. Things get put down. I'm just really excited about what is out there for me now. That was a great project. It didn't work out. I'm ready to look for more stuff. I'm taking it in my stride. This industry will throw you about left, right, and center, so you've got to take it in your stride. That's actually surprisingly really optimistic in a nice way of... I mean, she still got paid for working on the pilot, so yeah, it would have been nice to be paid for multiple seasons, but, you know, work's work, I guess. Now let's move on to George, who shared how much time he spends working on Winds of Winter, which I'm sure people are dying to hear about. So on that, he remarked, "That's an interesting question, and it really varies and it depends on what I'm doing. But when I'm actively writing, when it's really going well, and it doesn't always go well by any means, there are good days and bad days. There are good months and bad months. But when it's going well, I live in Westeros. I fall through the computer. I wake up thinking of, you know, Tyrion and Arya, or Aegon the Conqueror, whoever I'm writing about, and I go to sleep at night thinking about them. When I'm driving around, I think about them, and it just fills my life." Although George has a crazy writing state he has to be in to really work, so he shared that too, and it makes me feel really bad for him. But anyways, on that, he shared, "In order to achieve the almost zen state of obsession, I have to push away real life. There are other writers who write 4 pages a day. They write in hotels. They write on airplanes. They write everywhere. I've never been one of those writers. I need to have the whole day just to write. Nothing else on my calendar. And it's an odd irony that the very success of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire, the popularity of these books has made it harder for me to write these books because the number of interruptions and distractions and other things have increased, doubled, tripled, and increased tenfold and 100-fold. Okay, this is what we need to do. Anybody that offers George a project to work on, get rid of them. I'm not advocating murder. I would never say that on a recording where it could come back to me. I'm just saying maybe we start destroying all his other things he's working on. You know, I'm sure breaking his spirit would make him write faster. Isn't that how humans work? Oh, George also discussed fan expectations, which he said more or less the same thing many times before, but he said this time, "I don't think I do manage them. I've learned to live with them. At a certain point, I gave up trying to manage fan expectations. I just said, well, you know, I'm writing it. It'll be done when it's done. Some days I have good days and I write 5-6 pages. That's a great day for me. Some days I struggle and barely get half a page done. Some days I go in and I look at what I wrote last week and say, this is all terrible, and I rip it up and I start all over again." Wow. That actually... I was a little optimistic for a 2020 Winds of Winter release, but after him sharing how much he writes per day and that sometimes he'll rip up what little he does, I'm gonna hit menopause first. Ooh, but George is also really hopeful about other fantasy shows coming out, such as The Witcher. So on that, he said, "If 1 or 2 of them succeed, television will be transformed. Then I think fantasy will become a genre of television, just like cop shows and lawyer shows." Fuck yes. Although, on the other side of that coin, if the shows fail miserably and don't make as much money as those cops and lawyer shows, fantasy geeks are gonna get fucked hard. Ooh, lastly on George, he shared his favorite characters from the Game of Thrones television show. "Tyrion Lannister is certainly a character that I've always loved writing. But also the kids were marvelous, I mean. Maisie Williams as Arya, Sophie Turner as Sansa, Isaac as Bran. They were incredible. Yeah, honestly, I don't think there were any bad Stark actors that I can think of. I think they were all just really good. Yeah, I can't think of a single Stark character that I thought was acted poorly." And lastly, on Game of Thrones: A Song of Ice and Fire news, the Night King original art made him look more like a king, at least to me, and I think he would have looked way better like this. So I don't know your opinion on that, but honestly, I think he looks pretty bamf in this other concept art, and I would have loved it. But, you know, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and come back for more videos.